Hello everyone and welcome to the Overton Audios podcast. My name is Connor Chadwick.
And I'm Daniel Patton.
And Happy New Year!
'Tis January when you are all listening to this. I hope you all had a very nice Christmas and just happy holidays in general.
Now, once again, we're recording this very far in advance because of Christmas and New Year's happening. It is the 27th of November, so not even Flux is over.
Yeah,
Flux isn't over at this point.
Yeah, if Flux would have been over by now, and most likely that the New Year special would have aired. So,
it will have.
Yeah,
this is coming out, I think, in the early days of January. But nonetheless, in today's podcast, I will be talking with Nathan Carter about the new volume, Doctor Who Machination, and I think that's everything.
Basically, yeah, it's going to be relatively a short podcast than usual. There's just going to be chatting with Nathan. We'll be chatting about as well about what's really been going on.
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking just before we started recording about maybe doing a sort of second special podcast episode to talk about Flux and the New Year special, but that will obviously come out after the one you're currently listening to, which is this. It's just something we're thinking about at the moment, isn't it? About whether or not we do it or not. I think we will, but this is just so that we can secure a podcast for the month.
Yeah, exactly. Like we do want to talk about Flux because unfortunately, I think the podcast don't really meet up with the Flux release dates, and we haven't really been talking about Flux recently. The recent episode that came out at the time of recording this was the Weeping Angels one, which is fantastic.
Oh God, yeah. Tomorrow is episode 5. We're going to listen back to this when this comes out and be like, little did you know what else was coming.
We'll look back and those two had no idea what they were in for.
So. Yeah, we've only seen the next one. Our only reference to episode 5 is the next time trailer that came out 6 days ago.
Yeah, and Kate and you are back.
Mm. But to stay in the method, but to stay method acting here, to stay in the mood here.
Exactly.
How was your Christmas?
My Christmas, well, wouldn't you believe my Christmas was probably the best Christmas ever. We had a nice gentle snowstorm, not too rough, so we can see all the family, and we also had everyone singing songs, Christmas hymns, and the turkey was perfect. And God, I wish it. How was your Christmas, sir?
At the moment, there's a storm bursting through the UK at the moment, isn't there?
Yeah, it's hit.
What's it called again? Is it Anwen? Is it Storm Anwen?
Oh, Anwen, yeah, I think so. I remember. I've heard it's been quite bad throughout the entirety of the UK because it's been Wales has been hit hard, and so has Northern Ireland.
Storm Arwen.
Arwen. It hit me pretty hard. My power's currently out in my house. I'm currently recording the podcast at my fiance's at Adonia's, and it's been rough.
The worst I've seen is outside my window. There's a tree, and a gust of wind went by and ripped all the leaves off.
Jeez!
And all the leaves went off and went spiraling like it was a tornado. And I'm just like, uh-oh. And then I don't know if it will be able to be picked up on the audio, but you can hear the wind.
Oh.
Don't know if you can hear that. It's very low.
What wind are you referring to?
The stormy kind.
Stormy kind. God, what have you been eating?
Yes, so it's all technically by this point the rebrand's happened for Overton Audios. Everything.
Yes, exactly.
You've made that banner that you haven't yet. All the social medias.
Oh yeah, that fantastic banner. Probably the highlight of my graphic design, the digital art career that is hovering above the Overton Audios channel as we currently speak.
I'm holding you to that.
Why are you holding it to me? Why are you holding me over that? It's done. It's done. I mean, it's on the channel right now.
Okay, I look forward to looking at it.
Yes, well, I mean, after the podcast, you should.
Yeah, I might look right now.
Right now in January, yes, you should.
But yeah, so anyway, shall we jump into listening to me and Nathan talk about Machination?
Yes, please. Yeah.
Overton Audios presents.
Still having those dreams then?
It's him. It's the Doctor.
He's not real!
How can you explain this? You are the Doctor.
When I last saw cybershades, they looked rampant and devolved. It has large teeth, or so the stories say. They operate using ancient scientific algorithms, the power of words. Kids being dumped at unused construction sites.
We can't stand here forever, Doctor.
But Nick will die.
We'll all die right now. It's like your Tardis.
It is one. Not mine. Someone else's.
Come on, Theta. You must remember me.
Doctor Who, The Northern Doctor Adventures, Machination, coming the 8th of January 2022 at 12 p.m. Hello and welcome back to the podcast. And I'm here with Nathan Carter. Hello, Nathan.
Hello, Connor. How are you today?
I'm good, thanks. You?
I'm great, thank you. I sound like Alexa.
So we're here to talk about Doctor Who Machination, which
Yes.
I think we've been kind of, well, it's been kind of been in production for 2 years, 2.5 maybe.
I know, and I think I've done about 4 days' work on it, and you've done the rest.
yeah. Because I'm trying to think back, because I looked at when the scripts were written. The first script for episode 1 was written in July 2019, and I'm trying to think, was that when you'd recorded? Do you remember that you recorded some lines as your Doctor for like a cameo role in Doctor Who Resurrection?
I can't remember. I think I've done a few things, like little cameo stuff for you in the past.
There was Transcendence that we recorded in April 2019. And then a couple of months later, I did an episode, which was written by Pete Adams, called Death Day. And that actually featured a cameo from the Northern Doctor in another timeline where things had gone wrong. And I'm just trying to think back as to whether or not that was written. And I thought, well, me and Nathan have done enough together now that maybe I can ask. But we talked for a little bit on it, didn't we? About what it was and how it would work.
Yeah.
Because, well, I realised when looking back at the original folder that when I opened when I've got my hard drive of audios, when I open it, I look at it, and I've actually got folders in Doctor Who Machination for volumes 2 and 3. And I was like, when was I going to make those? So remember, this is actually a one-off volume. This is a singular volume. It's not part 1 or 2 or anything like that.
Yeah, I remember our original discussion. We was talking about doing series 1, 2, and 3 as a sort of thing, and then leaving series 4. But then I think as we started doing the series 1 thing audio, we said something along the lines of, I think 2
Probably
and 3
not.
are all right. Yeah, was it?
Yeah, I think it was a case of we discussed it because you sent me all the, because when I opened the folder, it comes up with all of the scripts that you had from, like, you know, when it was I had everything in it for like series 2 and 3, because the series were all 4 episodes, which is usually the length of like 4 to 5 episodes, which is usually like the length of an audio volume anyway. I think it was just thought of at the time, but I think when we started to look at it, we realised we're making series 1, but other than that, and the Unknown Descendant is a good place to sort of start at anyway.
Yeah,
because at that point, the Nick Hammond story is done. The Doctor's by himself. And then that's when we meet Lee and Nikki. And because the whole series ends with the conclusion of that story, it kind of works better as the visual element.
Yeah.
And the Nick Hammond stories, they actually help set up a lot of the stuff to do with, and spoilers ahead here for those who haven't watched the series. It helps set up everything that we see about the villain of Series 4.
Yeah.
Whilst,
That's,
and we also, technically, this volume is actually a post-Regeneration set of stories as well.
Yeah, so I know that it leads directly from. He's just regenerated, hasn't he? So
yeah, and
sort
obviously
of like
we're not entire. Like obviously, I mean, it's kind of left a bit vague, isn't it? He just shows up and gets, because because I was watching the original episodes, and was basically watching them making notes, then basically writing the scripts. In the original, they're just driving down the road and they just run over the Doctor, and he just gets up and they give him some tea and he gets up and he's fine. And then, then obviously the thought was made, let's make it post-Regeneration, which is why he heals himself from being hit by a car.
I know when I filmed the actual episodes and things, I wasn't going to do it as a post-Regeneration. It was just a case of he just literally gets hit by a car, and that was the introduction of him. But I do prefer now, thinking about it, maybe it should have been the post-Regeneration, which is why I'm glad that you've included that in the audio.
Yeah, because I remember as well, I have a very faint memory. I remember I kind of, and this will be weird how I've unlocked this memory. I don't know how I've unlocked it properly, but I remember in roughly August 2009, I was on holiday, and I can remember being sat in remember those little computers that you'd have to pay for. And it was like an internet cafe back then, before phones and everything could access everywhere. I was just sat on the computer, on the Windows XP computer, on YouTube, back making my old fan films and looking through things. And then I remember seeing a YouTube channel called Doctor Who Last Stand, but it was the abbreviated words, like DR Who. And I think Last Stand was a bit abbreviated, like the A was missing or something to make it fit without being like back in the old layout of YouTube. And I remember watching the trailer, and I remember when the first series came out, which is I suddenly feel very old as well thinking about that.
I remember that back then it was a thing of you could only upload up to 10 minutes as well, so everything was like part 1 of 3 and part 1 of 2 and part 1 of 2 of part 2, and you had to name things like that. And that's why I went back last year and looked down and remastered them so they're all in one like video.
And then of course series 1 plays out as it does, and we've still kept the stories in the order that they came out in, like in the original first series. It's just that they're just tweaked to obviously fit audio more, but also we've got a new actor in to play Nick. All the actors we got, I think, actually, because I think the actors we got to play Nick and Thomas were great.
Yeah, especially Nick. Like he just, when I've heard the audios, he just bounces off the Doctor so well. And particularly, I think is in Northern. Is he actually Northern?
Yeah.
Yeah, great accent.
Yeah, I had to check. I was literally, because I'm trying to remember what was the original title of the first ever episode.
It was just Captain Nick Hammond, I think.
Right, yeah, because
Rose thing,
because we obviously have now renamed it to A Werewolf in Leeds, which is, I think, more or less just me referencing it, like an American werewolf in London.
Yeah,
but I could have just said a northern werewolf in Leeds or something. But because in that there's that beginning sequence of the first episode where they're talking about dreams, but then when obviously, because making fan films back when we were younger, it doesn't quite sell as well. But yet when you've got the voice actors in and they're saying it, and it all just the way that they performed the scenes made it feel more serious than made it just felt a lot more serious and a lot more genuine.
Yeah.
But another thing that's quite interesting about the Machination volume is that you'd gone searching in an old hard drive and you found half of the original series 1 finale that never got finished.
Yeah, I keep meaning to release that actually. Yeah, it's got my dad in it. I remember that. But yeah, we never got to finish filming it because it's just back then we were in school and stuff. So obviously that got in the way because summer holidays finished and we just never got around to it.
Yeah, because I remember you found it and you sent it to me, and because initially series 1 had ended on Weeping Wilderness, hadn't it?
Yeah,
and that was a cliffhanger, and then you just jumped to an unknown descendant, which is why I think it's good that this has been made.
Yeah, it sort of gives everything like a full timeline for the Northern Doctor now, like post Regeneration, straight through to obviously my series 4 where we regenerate. So everything, the whole story is complete once these have been released.
That's good. I like complete stories.
I do indeed.
And but yeah, it's nice to actually watch it as well, because obviously I think you sent it to me roughly in 2019, but I lost it a couple of times. I don't know how I did that, but then so I had to ask a couple of times for it, but then we finally see that's where the gap happened, because the first 4 were written between July and September of 2019, and then this 5th episode was written in this year, in 2021. I think it was written in like maybe the July or August. I think it was almost 2 years after the first one had been written. And I can't remember what the delay was. Like, it literally, it was almost 2 years between it. And I'd had, and in all fairness, I don't think anyone had actually recorded for it either. I think it was only really.
You said that you did the Cyber Shades first. That was the first lot of lines you received from someone. I remember that.
I'm going to open the cast schedule and find out, because there's a lot of odd dates in it, and it's interesting to look at because, for example, obviously you've got the Cyber Shades, like you say, and they were done by John and Harper, and that was when he was just starting out doing those sort of voices. So it's like you sort of jump back in time a little bit. But yeah, looking at this, like when you listen to episode 1, and there's a news reporter that was recorded on the 11th of October 2019, and then meanwhile the rest of it was recorded in June, and well, you recorded your lines in March. Most of your lines were recorded between March and July of this year, and then you got the companion, and obviously that was all recorded. Basically, recorded on a day and back in July.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were quite a few lines here that I'm looking at that just like with John's recordings as the Cyber Shades was the 1st of November 2019, and you just look at that time gap and you're like, this is just how did it get delayed?
And then like over 4 weeks, like it's all out and done, and it's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, we just had to push through and power through in the end, because it was just getting to a case where I was, because I've got my release schedule all written up and everything, and I found myself shuffling things around and everything. That I think Machination was actually originally due for the beginning of this year, but then Pete announced that he wanted to leave as the Young Doctor in the new year, so then everything had to be swapped, and then it was a case of it would have been very confusing for the Young Doctor to leave and regenerate, but then for your volume to start immediately after post Regeneration.
Yeah,
I was like, this will give off the wrong idea completely. So yeah, and plus because we're doing I don't know if I've fully announced it yet. I think it'll be announced in this podcast, but we're doing a bit of a rebrand anyway with Overton Audios. Like, we're rebranding the logo. You've probably seen that in the cover arts yourself, where the logo is different. But we're just rebranding the way that we do things now. Like, we've got different thumbnails for each audio now. It's not just a picture of the square thumbnail now. We've actually got Dan making proper 16:9 thumbnails.
I think it's quite interesting as well. Like, the abbreviation of Overton Audios podcast is OAP, Old Age Pensioner.
That's how I feel.
I think that think that's quite funny.
Yeah, I mean, certainly I can feel that way. It's got to a point now where my knees are acting up. Like I'm walking around and
Don't
my
do
knee.
audios.
Yeah, I know. I'm not doing a lot of running, but it's like like sometimes I just have to stretch my leg and my kneecap will click, and I'm getting it, and then it suddenly feels like all the pressure's been relieved, and I'm like, that's probably something I should get looked at.
Oh, maybe it's a sign to retire from the fan film thing.
Yeah, from all the audio creation from sitting down, my knees are now.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, no, actually, I think I've pinned down what happened to my left knee, at least, because there was a time when I was on site and I fell up some stairs and my knee landed right on the concrete edge of a stair.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily I was wearing my hard hat because I went head first into the wall as well. It sounds more serious than it was. I was able to stop myself, but you can't quite always stop yourself in time. But no, I remember I hit my knee there, but then I think it's just spread because now both knees are acting up. But I'm an old man now who needs a lot of care. I need to retire.
Now you need to go live on a farm.
Yeah, I used to when I moved. Like when
you're still there now.
Yeah, when you were last on the podcast, that was, I hadn't moved yet.
Oh.
Because the last podcast you were in was number 4, and this is number 21.
Bloody hell, has it been that long?
Yeah. I think we were talking about what, because it was just the podcast was just called Northern Doctor. I'm assuming it was to do with because I was looking it up just before we started here. Episode 3 of series 4 had come out by that point.
Yeah,
and I think it was a discussion about that, and also just generally things, probably about like transcendence and all that lovely stuff. But I can't be sure now because my memory isn't what it was.
Yeah, you're our old age pensioner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. So either way, I think Machination was fun because we also got to use your theme tune as well, and we also got to reinvent stories. And overall, I'm quite chuffed with how it's come out, and it marks up. It was also because of it being of Overton Audios having a bit of a rebrand. It kind of just felt right that it should start with Machination as well.
Yeah,
because because we've done volumes. Well, not volumes. We've done audio stories with you before, but with this being a whole volume and being kind of the first one, it made sense, I think, in my head for the rebrand.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just weird and thinking weirdly about marketing. I don't know. But yeah, that's what made sense in my head. But
why you decided that you want us to do a rebrand?
Well, it was because at this point we're entering the 4th year. And we made the logo, and I really liked it. But when we made the podcast back in April 2020, the logo for the podcast is what the new logo is.
Yeah,
because it's got the O and then the P and everything like that. And it was, so the O and the A. What would the P? O and the A and with the waveform in the middle, that was supposed to be the new logo that got announced in 2021. And I'll tell you honestly, we just forgot. We generally just forgot to announce it. That now I've just gone, no, we have to do it this year, because I mean it was a point of, we made this logo, the rectangle logo for Overton Audios, and then we stopped making a few audios, and then in the new year, with the Big Finish audio dramas, they started having their logos be rectangular and white and black as well. So now when we put out our cover arts and everything like that, it's got the same white rectangular bar that Big Finish use, even though it's not the exact same design. When you're not looking at it at first glance, it looks the same.
Yeah.
So we just wanted to sort of distinguish ourselves a little bit more, but still have it audio related. And at this stage, we make so much stuff that it can become saturated. So I thought it would be nice to kind of have a nice sort of, new look amongst all the chaos.
I remember years ago I rebranded from Fanfilms UK. My channel was called back then to NTC Pictures. That was stressful. Just going through all the video managers and changing everything and the links and all the pages and stuff.
Because I can, I still love your logo for or your ident. It reminds me of like a red neon light.
So proud of that. I'm so proud of it. Like I did that in After Effects myself. I was just literally fooling around with it and watching tutorials, and I sort of made it my own and different from the tutorials how it was showing me. And yeah, I love that. Like I wouldn't change it. Like I maybe change the color of it for like a special occasion, for like maybe a 60th anniversary special, maybe to gold or something. But yeah, I love that bit. I love it.
I like the sort of way, like for me, it always had a kind of maybe has a little bit of like an electronic sort of feel to it, like neon lights.
Yeah, well, there's meant to be a sound to it. Like the ident video file on my system, it's got audio with it, and it's like a crackly electric thing. But I always mute that when I put it at the beginning of a thing because I'm not sure. Like I think it flows better.
It depends on the kind of edit you're doing, doesn't it? If it's a very quiet film, and it can start off with that and then just fade out, and then you have the silence afterwards, it kind of stands out, doesn't it, at that point? But yeah, like if it's something like, like one of the Doctor Who episodes, then at that point you can have the soundtrack anyway, can't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully one day we'll hear it.
I'm sure.
But yeah, so
although all the social media things have gone now, obviously, because I deactivated them all, like because I've got no content. I was like, what's the point of me having all these social stuff? So I got rid of them all.
Yeah, because obviously you came back to do series 4, and then to finish that off, that was like a lockdown kind of. It was a mixture of a lockdown / fan induced project, wasn't it?
Yeah. I got to episodes 1, 2, and 3 over lockdown, and then work kicked off. I'm like, oh no, but I could have got so close to doing that finale. So it wasn't until Christmas when I got like some free times. Like, well, I've just got to finish this finale. I've got to finish it, and that came out in January, I think. No,
yeah, it did. I think it was January 30th. Yeah,
was it?
I remember that because I remember when Young Doctor went. It was the same day, wasn't it? It was the same minute as well. Both episodes came out at midday.
Yeah, I remember that. That was cool.
I keep imagining this visual of you and Pete waving to one another, and Pete fading away. But then, as he's fading away, you just turn into him as you're waving. I just keep imagining that, like he just fades, and you're just like, oh, I'm him now, sort of thing.
Like the end of that Fast and Furious film where they're in the car and they split on the highway.
It's all about family.
I can't stand those films.
But yeah, anyway, thank you so much, Nathan, for being free. I know that you're busy filming at the moment.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I'll take the opportunity to say thank you, Connor, for putting all the hard work into these things. I mean, I've only done the voices, but you've been editing them. You've got all the casted everybody, and thank you to Dan Patton for doing the artwork as well. I much appreciated it. Hope everybody enjoys them.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Nathan.
No worries.
Hello, everyone. We are back from. Well, technically, I spoke to Nathan. I've already spoken to Nathan. All of this is in 2021. I spoke to Nathan like 3 days ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, because at the moment, Nathan, we didn't mention it at the time because we're trying to stick on Machination, but at the moment, I think he's in Wales doing I'm a Celebrity.
Yeah.
When I say he's doing I'm a Celebrity, he's not in the house. He's on the crew.
Yeah.
He's currently being one of the people who has to watch the screens and make sure that nobody's doing anything wrong, and then they have to report it, and that's how people get kicked out sometimes when they do wrong things. They're basically the watchers. They watch, but they do not interfere. They will not interfere.
Unless altering gets involved.
Yeah. Yes, that's what currently Nathan's doing. But Nathan's very happy with Machination. As those who are listening will have heard, he's very happy with it. It's technically the new series 1. At one point, we were going to remake series 2 and 3 as audios as well, but then we sort of realised that series 1 was the only one that was never finished. Like, it finishes in episode 4, and it should have been 5 episodes. So the idea was that this will be the definitive version of the story with Nick Hammond and everything like that. And he's very happy, and that's good. But nonetheless, we said we weren't going to do comments. But unlike in the December podcast, when we said that we were recording these back to back, that was at 1 a.m. and I just went to bed. And then yesterday we were busy. You were out Christmas shopping yesterday.
Yeah, it was Black Friday yesterday.
Yeah, I got one of my deliveries come through. I ordered yesterday, and it's arrived now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
I was up from 6 a.m. on Black Friday because there's some American deals I had to get in on.
How bankrupt are you?
In all fairness, I saved over $300.
Well, there you go. Pounds or dollars?
Not bankrupt. What?
Pounds.
Dollars, $300, which I think equates
the American shop.
207 pounds.
Is this Triune store?
The Triune store, yeah.
And Triune store.
We wished.
Yeah, I mean, I got a few things too. I mean, in terms of dollars, it was saying 100, but then because of the exchange rate, I got it for about 80. That was all. I bought a load of sound effects packs. So watch out, everyone. We're gonna have some better sounding audio.
A load of new scores. I bought the new drama score, cinematic scores volume 2, and I think I bought another one. I can't remember.
You have to quickly check what I bought, because I bought some scores too. I got you something for Christmas, but I just gave it to you immediately, which was it was the hipster Lutz, wasn't it?
Yes, because I'm a hipster.
I got the heroes and villains scores.
Oh, that's nice.
And that comes with the masters and all the stems for the original track, so you can make your own as you go. I also got. Do you remember the 80s synth ones I got as well? Like ages ago.
Yeah. Did you get the new one?
No, but I didn't get another 80s synth one. But I only ever used that once. I only used that in Young Doctor Adventures Volume 3, and I only mention it now because I just remembered I've got it. I bought it, got the paid license and everything to be able to use it, and I've only ever used it for one volume that came out nearly a year ago. And you know how far in advance I make these. It means I used it nearly 2 years ago and I forgot. But the Heroes and Villains one, I listened to it and thought, well, that's actually quite good. It's good for non-Doctor Who related projects. But then I bought monster and sci-fi sound effects. Like you've got AI voices that speak and say all different things, like welcome, enter, declined, incorrect, correct, wrong. And it goes like female voice, child voice, male voice, glitchy voice, all sorts.
Really cool.
Yeah, no, it's just really good. I really like that.
I got like some visual assets as well. I got muzzle flashes and smoke assets. I also got some nice new lens flare assets. So, because in the trailer for Dimension of the Daleks, I used some old assets which didn't look too good. So I plan to.
Have you got the electric pack?
Electric pack? No, I did not get the electric pack.
I was tempted to get that for you. I was tempted to, but I thought I genuinely thought he'll have got that.
No, it just didn't. It didn't really. It speak to me like I didn't see.
No, the test video they provided was that clip of Thor's hammer starting to levitate with the electricity, and I thought it looked good, but then again, I'm like, that looks pretty, and you're like, it's not good enough though, not good enough.
No, it looks great. It's just, I don't see a time for me to use such advanced electricity effects.
You never know. There might be a lightning storm having to be made for
There
a
is.
car.
Well, I mean, like there was a lightning storm last night. Ironically.
Yeah. Isn't it kind of funny that we're talking about what we bought on Black Friday for ourselves, but yet because this will have come out, this will be the first podcast after Christmas. It sounds like we're just talking about what we got for Christmas.
Yeah, and all fairness, that's what we got for Christmas. We don't even know what we got for Christmas.
No clue. I mean, I don't. The thing is, I'm at that age now where I'm not like. I miss when I was a kid and I would watch Thunderbirds or Captain Scarlet or something like that. But Yeah, I got that was me getting a text from work, by the way.
Yes.
Work, it's a Saturday. Leave me be. But
That is not a man.
oh, what was I forgot what I was talking about now. That work text.
You're talking about you used to watch Captain Scarlet and Thunderbirds?
Oh yeah. I used to watch Thunderbirds and Captain Scarlet and everything. I'd always love getting those toys. That you had the little figures that were really, really tiny, and I'd get them for Christmas.
Did you get
I love it.
Did you get the Tracy Island set as well? Like there's
The classic
the
one.
Tracy Island. Yeah, the classic one.
Yeah.
Everyone I know, like you, me, and friends from uni, everyone got that set when they were a kid. It was like the false childhood Christmas toy, wasn't it?
Because there was the one they made from the live action movie that was smaller, and that you could take chunks of the island out, and you had like blue and red technological stuff in. But in the original one, you could just press a button on the actual island, and then the flap would open for Thunderbird 2, and you could put Thunderbird 2 inside and close it. Thunderbird 1 you could put inside the pool, pull like a little thing round, and it would close the pool.
Yeah, I had that stand, and when you turn around, there's like a sort of a base that it had to be set inside.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was lovely.
Yeah.
And you can't beat that. Whereas now I'm like, what do you want for Christmas? I'm like, financial stability.
I want socks.
You've become the very thing you swore to destroy.
The ironic thing is, I've always hated when my mum and I got me socks, pants, and clothes during Christmas, and now I beg them for it. And now the only thing to get me now in terms of clothing for Christmas is Christmas themed clothing. I'm like, yeah, because I'm going wearing this all year round.
Yeah, I'm going to wear this in August. Yeah. And the thing is, there was a phase for the last couple of years when my dad kept buying me Star Wars stuff, and I'm like, I'm not obsessed with Star Wars as you think I am. Like he's in Paris at the moment, and he found this Lego Darth Vader helmet, and it's actually made from tiny pieces like a sculpture. And he took a photo of it, and I was like, stop. Stop. I love Lego. I used to play with Lego when I was a kid all the time, and I've been bought little Lego helicopters for Christmas and everything that keeps me quiet for 3 hours and everything like that. But like,
did you not invest in Lego very recently?
I did. I bought the limited edition Tardis.
Yeah.
It cost me 140 quid.
And you're saying as a kid I was obsessed with Lego, I'm like, and you as an adult right now.
Yeah, but my entire table was Lego. I had like the floor plates for the roads, and then that had the little green, what was meant to be grass, divots that you would then connect to other buildings. I had all of that. Whereas now all I've got is that little villa and that little Lego villa and a TARDIS. Like it was just because I saw it in there, and I just thought I felt like in the Lego mood. And subsequently, it's covered in dust at the moment. I've never touched it. I built it and never touched it.
I still have my Lego TARDIS, and it's the thing is I live in a house in the country, and it gets very dusty very quick. It's just covered in dust, and I need to dust at some point. I don't
know if it's a case of I'm more of a collector now. But I don't play with Lego. Like when I was a kid, I'd have like little figurines that I'd move around. I used to do Lego EastEnders. Oh, did you hear that?
What's that?
Did you hear that?
Was that the winds?
Yeah, that high pitched whistle. That was very loud. That's Storm Arwen at my window.
The winds of change.
But when I was a kid, I'd move all the Legos around and actually speak for them. And I had like a Lego EastEnders thing going on where I'd be living in Legoville, it was called, and there'd be other characters in there. And then then it turned into being David Tennant's Doctor at one point, and there was a card game they had where you had like a little model TARDIS in the middle of the board. Like years ago, I used that in my Lego set because it was a similar size. It was way too tall for Lego figures, but it was a similar size that would fit. And I was using Lego Doctor Who Adventures. I just wasn't recording them.
Yeah, I used to do the exact same thing. I used to build TARDIS all the time in Lego. I used to have I can't remember what it was called. It was these big sci-fi sort of sets, and it came these grand big pieces that are like pillars and everything. Like, this make a good TARDIS here. So I built the TARDIS and it looked pretty good. And I started doing like the little Lego adventures. But like for the TARDIS, I had this die cast. Only you can see me, but like he's like this big. You know what I mean? Like it's perfect size for
a small box size.
A small box, but it was a TARDIS, but it had like Tom Baker in it waving, so I just turned it around.
Yes, I think I know that one. Yeah, I think I had that too.
Yeah, I used that for the Legos because it was the perfect size for Legos. And I remember one time I had my friends over, and I was so excited because I was so proud of the TARDIS I built. I was going straight to my friends, and as my friend turned around, he accidentally pushed it off my hands and it went down to the floor and just.
I bet you cried.
I cried. I was like,
my life's work ruined.
It was decent, but he helped me rebuild it, but it was never the same. It was never the same.
No, it's not. It wasn't your original vision.
No, it wasn't.
No, but like that's the thing. Like with I've been buying as well lots of the Doctor Who action figures, but they've just been sitting up there.
Yeah,
it's just nice to have.
So good.
For a bit of character.
It would be good if you need to photograph a particular model. It's supposed to be good for.
Well, that's actually something you've done before for Young Doctor Adventures. You've actually taken photos, and then you've just got rid of the seam line on the toys where they connect the two pieces, and you've just photoshopped that out. As a result, you've had them like for the Young Doctor Adventures Volume 3, Episode 2. There was one with it's both episodes of those episodes 2 and 3 that you had the Daleks in, but you just used the models.
Yeah, exactly. Old toys and. Yeah, because I think that was during when I was at university. I didn't really have any good 3D software, so I couldn't get them done then. So I just got toys and I just photographed them.
Yeah, I think we might as well do that in future, if I'm honest, because I've got every version now. Almost, I've got Remembrance. Funny enough, about 95% of the figurines I've got up there are because of you.
Oh.
They are, because you buy them in B&M and then mail them to me. Because there's a B&M near me, but it's never got any in. But well, you're the one that seems to have it all.
And that's because there's not many Doctor Who fans where I am, so that the B&M gets a stock and no one really pays attention to it. So I'm like, it's time for me to slip in.
It's like every now and again I'll get a message from you and you're just taking a photo of the shelf and you just message me, what do you want?
Like, hey, can I interest you in some product?
Yeah, it's just a weird dealer for Doctor Who action figures. Like I've got some.
Basically, yeah. We took quite a turn there because you were meant to talk about the one comment from.
Yeah, but we did go off on a
we started talking about Legos.
We just talk about Christmas. I think we're talking about how we're not really bothered about what we get for Christmas anymore.
Yeah. We went to the Triune store. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, I know I said I wasn't going to do anything for the comments section, but because we had this little delay between, we didn't do it back to back as planned. The final episode of Time Travel Cataclysms come out. As a result, Jeevan has written a comment with his beautiful numeric scale again. So I thought I'd read that comment from Jeevan that he wrote on that final episode.
All right,
it goes as so. This episode of Time Travel Cataclysm was superb. The story was excellent and all of the characters were brilliant. Alan Rafferty as Robert Black was phenomenal and his dynamic with all of the characters in this episode were amazing. I am really loving his character development and I love how much he is willing to protect people. John and Harper as Andrew Pearce was fantastic and I love how he was willing to help Robert, but even though he didn't quite approve of his techniques. Kat Furness as Lily was amazing and I'm really looking forward to hearing more of her character as the series goes on. Ruben Roper as James was amazing and it was interesting to hear how he thought he was protecting the streets when in fact he was just adding to the problem of the streets, not being safe. The selfishness in the character was portrayed excellently by Ruben and I loved it. And Hugo Allen Stevens as George Regan was amazing and it was interesting to hear how much he wanted to help out the country by suggesting his own plan of action of a curfew to keep the streets safer. And lastly, Robert Baines as Matthew was amazing. And hearing how he wanted to protect his family was very moving. 500 billion out of 500 billion. We're edging closer to trillions here.
Don't give him ideas. Don't give him ideas.
Indeed, but thank you very much for the comment, Jeevan, nonetheless. I like the way that he breaks down his comments about like what he liked about it, and I think it shows that we're doing something right, doesn't it? Because then we're like, oh, people actually understood what we said.
Exactly.
That's a good thing. But yeah, I mean, we've already talked about the 2022 releases. We've done that already. Machination, the trailer will have been out by now. Let's play it again, shall we?
Why not?
All over again. Here we go. Overton Audios presents.
Still having those dreams then?
It's him. It's the Doctor.
He's not real!
How can you explain this? You are the Doctor.
Well, when I last saw cybershades, they looked rampant and devolved. It has large teeth, or so the stories say. They operate using ancient scientific algorithms, the power of words. Kids being dumped at unused construction sites.
We can't stand here forever, Doctor.
But Nick will die.
We'll all die right now. It's like your Tardis.
It is one. Not mine. Someone else's.
Come on, Theta. You must remember me?
Doctor Who, The Northern Doctor Adventures, Machination, coming the 8th of January 2022 at 12 p.m. And there's the trailer for the second time on the podcast. I think that's it for the podcast now.
Yeah. I mean, something much to really talk about. I mean, it's a brand new year. We'll talk about Doctor Who in one part, and we'll go through what's been released probably in the February podcast. But I mean, starting the new year nice and late.
This could be the future of the podcast, because if you think about it, we've not got multiple releases per month anymore. It's very rare that those happen now, so it's only going to be one segment really per podcast, unless we can think of something else to talk about, like Lego.
True. Let's make this a Lego podcast. I mean, it's all fair. It's like we rarely talk about one particular thing nowadays.
Yeah. But nonetheless, thank you all for listening. Thank you very much for joining us. I know that this is an older recording, so please bear with us, but we will aim to try and do another sort of podcast special this month of January, where we talk about Series 13 and the New Year special. I think it would be worth doing that. We did it for Revolution of the Daleks in the New Year. We might as well do it at the beginning of 2022 as well.
Yeah, and I hope you all have a fantastic New Year, and wish you all the best for 2022.
Indeed. Thank you,
everyone.
Farewell.
Bye.